He's not a bat, he's a man who fights crime. And we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time. With John and Niall and a guest who doesn't rhyme. It's Bat Minute!
Hello, guys, gals, and non-binary pals. Welcome to yet another slice of the cheesy and spicy Bat Minute hiatus, but with no anchovies, dude. We are here to once again crank up the TURTLE power and to bunga some cows. We're here to talk about today Batman versus Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I am one of the hosts of the show, Niall McGowan.
Yo, what's up, all you super chill animals? I'm your other host, John Parker. Hello.
Hey, and hey, what's the guy gotta do to get some guests around here? We've got people from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Minute. We have Adam Sheehan and Rachel Gatlin.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey. We had to have some. We had to have turtle rep on this one. Come on.
Oh, of course. That's the thing. It's like, in the middle of this whole hiatus, because we started off pretty low with like, the number 23 is like, ugh. And then
I liked it. I'm still defending that film.
And the Island of Dr. Moreau, it's like, it's better. It's better than I thought it was going to be anyway. And a great backstory of that movie. And now we've got this thing, which is they took a pretty good comic and they made a fucking great movie out of this. This is just like, this is one of the best movies we've had to look at this entire run of the show, I think.
Yeah, should we get this out of the way first off? Like, I loved it. Niall, you loved it, clearly. What did you two think? Did you enjoy it as Turtles fans first and foremost?
Yeah. I watching the movie, I said, this reads like a fanfic, and I'm here for it.
I loved what they did with the Turtles characters. Like, great character design, really great casting. It was just it was a good Turtles story.
Yeah, I really liked the art they went with, like the art style for the Turtles. Like, you'd often see them in silhouette and things, except for their eyes and their headband. There'd be like flashes of blue and orange, and it's like, oh, that's really cool. It's made the Turtles look like badass.
It's just so weird it happens like this particular week as well was like a week where if you told me this week was coming when I was 10 years old, I'd be like, this sounds like the future is going to be the greatest thing ever. Because in this same week, you can just, in the UK for the first time, you can just get Sister Sister on demand on Netflix.
Yeah.
There was new episodes of Animaniacs coming out. And then also at the same time, it's like you're going to get to talk about a movie where Batman teams up with the Ninja Turtles. And guess what? The movie's pretty good. And you're like, what?
Didn't they announce new Darkwing Duck as well?
Oh, yeah, that's on the way too, yeah. Seth Rogen producing it, which is like, okay, I guess.
So that means it's going to be R-rated?
Oh, God.
My question, though, is it going to exist in the Duck universe, or is it going to be, like,
but
separate?
It already exists in the Duck universe as a show.
Yeah.
But is it going to be a real character, like a real duck in the Duck universe?
Yeah.
So, like, are we going to get the show that exists within the show DuckTales?
Oh, my God.
And, like, then where does Launchpad fit into this equation? Because he's on both shows.
Right.
Well, let me say as well, and that kind of ties into what I was thinking about this, before we actually delve into it deeply. On paper, when you sent me this, Niall, I was like, do I really want to watch this? Oh, really? It sounds stupid. I find most crossovers stupid, and I think they don't work, and they're fun for a little bit. But I don't know why I didn't put it together in my mind, but it makes perfect sense. When you sit them down and put this on, it instantly makes sense. Batman, ninjas, weird monsters. I mean, he already fights bloody Killer Croc. So it instantly worked, and it flipped a switch in my head, and I was like, oh, why did I doubt this? Like, they're ninjas. They're all ninjas. Batman's a ninja.
For one thing, it is based on the comic they did a couple of years back. I think it was like 2016, thereabouts. Or maybe even earlier than that. But it's actually really originally written by James Tynion IV, who current Batman fans will know because that's the guy who's currently writing the main Batman run.
He's currently writing a lot of things. He's a hard-working dude.
And things not that I don't know if it's a controversial take with people, but like I was not a fan of the Tom King run whatsoever. So then like that Joker War, the James Tynion just finished, was like, holy crap, this is amazing. But
No, I haven't read it yet.
Yeah. His name comes up a lot in the in my comics podcasts. He's all over the place.
I don't know how you can sort of keep all that in your head, like what's going on. I get confused reading Batman and detective comics. I'm like, which one's this again? Hang on.
Well, you also wrote that that book you were talking about, John. No, I've read it myself as well. The what's it called? Like Truth Finders or the conspiracy thing, where like
Department of Truth.
Yeah.
That book is fantastic.
The same guy wrote the comic that this is based on, wrote that as well, and he's currently writing Batman.
Well, let me just tell you then. I've only read the first one of those so far. I've got the second one here. But that first one, he's a genius.
Yeah,
it's amazing. It's so good.
What's the thing? I can never quite tell is the current run of Batman that good, or is it just that he's way better than Tom King? And I'm just like, anything by comparison is amazing now. But I think he might actually be that good. That he's got this character down and stuff. So, although actually we'll talk, in some comparison to that comic adaptation, they actually do change the characterization of Batman and from page to screen quite a bit, I found.
Oh,
but we can get into that when we get into it. But might as well at the start of the movie here. I was actually initially kind of confused because it starts off in a laboratory, like a lot of these things do, and hearing the voices and seeing the figure, I was like, oh, it's April O'Neil.
Yeah.
Right.
I thought that.
And it turns out, no, it's actually Barbara Gordon. But
another redhead.
yeah. And actually appropriate enough because this version of Barbara Gordon is voiced by Rachel Bloom, who people will know as she's the co-creator and the star of Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
Oh, that's it. I couldn't play. I knew the name and I couldn't remember where it was from.
But she's also done BoJack Horseman, something called Bob versus Society, which is tragically not a show about Tracy Walters' Bob from Batman '89, been resurrected and going on a rampage of revenge. But she actually was the voice of April O'Neil in Robot Chicken, so I guess it's appropriate that they cast her.
Oh,
do you think it's
wild.
deliberate then that we're confused? Because I also thought, oh, it's April. They've just changed her a little bit, but it's April.
I think because she looks like April from that early 2000s, like the reboot they did. So it's like, I think they there's a lot of little things, visual references, like they know what they're doing. They were probably trying to misstep you and be like, it was like at the beginning of '89, we see that family coming out of the theater and like, oh, it's the Waynes. No, it's not. It's some other family.
Yeah. But and that version of April kind of would have fit April in the IDW series because she's like a scientist.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually.
Yeah,
And,
what was the context? Babs was like writing a paper or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
She was like an intern. I don't know. I
think it
confused,
was.
too.
I didn't even write a note on that. I don't even remember.
It's like a college paper. Just like, she's studying something for uni. And she just needs to go to see. I never went to any giant laser beams or any giant scientific research centers when I was in college. But
the most I got to do was go to museums for free. That was like the perk of being an art student. But other than that.
Well, you all missed out. I was regularly blasting lasers and all kinds of stuff.
But of course, then there's an attack by the Foot. They're in Gotham for some reason. There's actually a really cool bit where they throw ninja stars. I think it's the moment you realize that it's not April O'Neil, because you realize that it is Batgirl, because they throw ninja stars to the scientists, and she grabs them with her book. Like, she just holds the book out, and the stars go in them. It's like, oh, that's a pretty nifty move. I don't think April O'Neil could do that normally. Oh, this must be Barbara Gordon, I guess.
Yeah.
If that's what their plan is, a little sneaky reveal, it worked quite well on me, at least.
Yeah.
And so we find out the Foot are in, it's not the League of Shadows, like you might assume, because they're pretty similar, but we'll get to them later as well, actually. But it turns out that the Foot are in Gotham for some reason. The day is saved for Barbara, although she looked like she was handling things, but mysterious creatures appear.
Some sort of lizard guy.
Oh, what could they be? I mean, the clue isn't in the title of the film.
There's a kind of weird, I know that it does happen a lot in Turtles lore anyway, but it is kind of a weird flip of what normally would happen in a Batman story, where he'd show up and people it was like this, it was a giant bat, man, it was a 6 foot, what the hell was that? This came out of nowhere, what was going on? But this now being like, yes, it was weird giant turtles. Like you don't see them on the streets of Gotham. You see something similar in the streets of Gotham every day, I guess, with Killer Croc. But
well, I like the way people don't get too freaked out when it's eventually revealed it's the turtles. Nobody's that confused because, like, well, Gotham's got its own weirdos. Who cares?
Yeah, I would like to think that people of Gotham are pretty desensitized to anything.
We've seen all this before.
Yeah.
It's kind of that, like, now where they must introduce like new supervillains and people will be like normal civilians will be like, that's your costume. Like,
I have sort of a Batman lore question. Do New York and Gotham always exist in the same universe, or is this exclusive to this movie?
That's a great question, because I'm pretty sure in the comics this team up came about via an interdimensional portal.
Yeah, because I always thought Gotham was supposed to be a stand-in for New York.
yeah, well,
It changes.
yeah.
This is the problem.
I think it's like New York used to be nicknamed Gotham apparently back in the day, so I think that's where.
Yeah.
But then I think as of like current comic lore, it's supposed to be understood that Metropolis is New York, Gotham is New Jersey. So that's what they're going for. But I think they just because again, Batman Forever, the freaking Statue of Liberty is just there. So
Yeah.
and I guess in that world, unless they're just like Gotham City just ripped off the Statue of Liberty from New York, that's like 5 miles down the road.
Or they just built their own. See, I always thought like Metropolis as New York makes sense, but then Gotham is what, Boston?
I always thought it was like Boston or Chicago.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is as well, though. This is the problem. I think basically whatever suits the art style they're going for and the plot, they'll just change it on a whim. It's irrelevant.
I do really wish that like everyone in Batman had got like Boston accents now. Though that'd be
Even Chicago would be pretty funny.
Yeah.
Is that just... Do you guys like that accent over there as well? Because over here, we're like, oh, that's amazing. That's a great voice.
What, the Boston accent?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think it must be. I always assumed it was viewed as a bit of a weird accent in America
I mean,
too.
I would take the Boston accent over the Philly accent any day.
What's
The Philly accent doesn't. The Philly accent makes no sense.
Yeah, it's like a Southerner with a bad head cold.
Yeah, it's very nasal. A lot of like consonant combinations that don't make sense, like dropping the ing off of the end of words. It's very similar in some ways to an Irish accent. That kind of.
I wouldn't quite go that
No,
far.
not that far, but they have like a similar quality to them. Maybe I'm just talking out of my ass. I don't know.
Thank the heavens that I might live in Liverpool, but I'm not from here, because you wouldn't understand a word I was saying.
Again, I'm still just hung up. From watching all those seasons of It's Always Sunny, I had no idea that there even was a Philadelphian accent.
Well, no, they don't have a Philly accent.
They make fun of it a lot, like that episode where they go to the Poconos and they keep saying Poconos.
Poconos.
Yes. I didn't get though that's what they were supposed to be doing. I thought they were just doing a weird voice for the sake of it.
Yeah, no, that's how people from Philly say it.
Yeah.
There you go.
And the word water is pronounced by some people as wooder,
Oh.
which
No.
is just terrible.
Then again, in England, it's like water.
Water. I don't know. Accents are a funny thing, man.
Yeah. I still do really wish now we had Boston Batman though. It's like, Joker, you're going too far this time.
That'd be amazing.
Well, then B-Fleck could have really leaned into it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's right enough. Yeah, he could have been like, hey.
That'll be his one condition of coming back for anything. Like, I get to do the voice.
Yeah, I'll come back as Batman, but he's from Boston.
Bastin.
Why not?
Yeah.
Who cares? Do it.
But so then Batgirl does inform Batman that like there's visitors in town, and his go-to thing, because he's Batman. Speaking of Batman versus Superman, Batfleck, his immediate thing is just like, all right, we gotta get rid of these things, instead of just like, oh, I wonder what that's about. He's just full on offense.
Well, there is a symbolism of that in a way. His mug that he's drinking from is a Superman mug.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. That was something I was curious about, as to because Alfred gives that to him. And I was wondering, is this like a little joke on Alfred's part?
I think maybe it was like he's like, oh, Master Bruce hates this mug.
It's not his favorite mug.
If he's not been treating me right this week, I'm going to give him all of his tea or coffee in this.
Like, imagine though he was hoping for a reaction from Bruce, but he's probably like, oh, he didn't even look at it. Like, Bruce is just like, there is a container to my side. I know because Alfred gave it to me. I don't need to look at it. I trust him enough to know whatever's in this mug is something I want.
Hey, we all remember the Vichyssoise from the movie. You know, don't trust Alfred.
Well, I think like, since then, Bruce is like, don't you ever give me something I'm not expecting again.
He's also got something else really cool when he's drinking from that mug. His chair is like a Batman chair. Have you noticed? It's got the shape of his ears and stuff. It's like his cowl, but it's the back of the chair.
I guess at that point, like, what do you give them, Bruce Wayne for Christmas? It's like, I guess he likes bat-shaped stuff. Like, if you're Alfred or, like, Dick Grayson or someone, it's like, I bought him a chair that had bat ears on it because I guess he'd like that.
We had this conversation once before. Never let anyone know what your favorite animal is because then you're just going to get a bunch of stupid crap with that on it.
I just saw a meme that said that. Like, what would I tell my 9-year-old self? Like, don't tell anyone you like owls. Tell people you like cash.
It could be actually as well. I think we might have talked about it the last time you guys were on too, that the reason Dick Grayson is called Nightwing is in reference to like an old Superman story that he went to Superman for advice, and Superman posed as a hero called Nightwing when he was on in the bottled city of Kandor and all this. But I wonder if from that, Dick Grayson was like, "Oh yeah, I'm a big Superman fan," so people like were giving him loads of Superman stuff, and now Alfred's like, "Oh no, the dishwasher's on, so the only mug he has to hand is Dick Grayson's Superman mug." Like, trust he won't say anything.
Yeah, you have the mugs in the front of the cabinet that you like, and then the ones you don't like in the back.
Yeah, we've all got the backup emergency mug.
Oh,
yeah.
There's always a little too thin, a little too small.
We have one that just says Cleveland on it with a skyline of the city of Cleveland.
Yeah.
That's our version. Of
It kind of sucks, too, because it's got like a hole in it, so water gets in the handle.
Oh, I hate that. My backup emergency one at the moment it's in the shape of R2-D2, which sounds awesome until you try and drink from it. And it's just a pain in the arse. And then you have to wash it out, and it's got all these little bits inside. It's not like smooth because it's like 3-dimensional. It gets all crap stuck in. It's horrible.
I've got weirdly. It's usually my usual go-to mug was I have one of like Shakespearean insults etched on the side, and I've had that for like 8 years. But recently, I've got really into. There's just ones in the house now that are just plain clear mugs that like. And now I'm all into like watching the tea bag through the glass and stuff. And like I don't know why the mid-30s like now this is my thing. I like clear glass containers that I can watch.
I mean, it is fun when you pour the cream in and it does that like cloud.
It's got that lava lamp thing going for it.
Yeah.
Before I also did recently rewatch Hannibal, and they do a lot of like, look at this snail. Look at the snail for like 10 minutes. You're like, oh yeah, that's amazing. Like, look at this spoon go into a moose. You're like, oh my god, yeah. But should mention, one, I was quite like, oh my god, I guess that's weird casting. But the guy doing Alfred is an actor called Brian George. He's been around for a long, long time. You might have seen him in Blossom, The Nanny, back in the 90s.
The Nanny. I used to. What was the name? The lead.
Fran Drescher.
Fran Drescher.
Oh, yeah.
I was a kid and I didn't understand why. I was young, but I was like, oh, I like this woman. She was quite sexy.
He did the voice of Jazzman in the Batman animated series episode I Am the Night, and he would be mostly known as he's Babu from Seinfeld. Babu Butt.
Oh, that's why he looks familiar.
Yeah.
He's like he's a bad man. He's a very, very bad man and stuff like that.
Plus Niall, it's pronounced Batman, not Badman.
Oh, I should have said that would have been a nice joke, actually, if they had like, is this Bruce Wayne? No, he's a Batman. He's a very Batman. But you definitely know him, John, because he's in mutual favorite film of ours, Ghost World. He's the guy who runs the convenience store and keeps getting
that's him.
accosted by that guy without a shirt with the mullet. Who showed up in a Red Hot Chili Peppers video like a year later. And they're like, is this guy like a known character in America? Or is it just that the Chili Peppers really liked him from Ghost World or something?
They just love Ghost World, I guess.
It could be.
That's a wild movie.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
Great
I
movie.
love it.
Of course, Batman, this is a new Batman to us. But like not a new guy playing, he's not new to the voice. But people will know this voice actor. It's Troy Baker.
Yeah, he's doing a really good Kevin Conroy voice match.
Yeah, I actually was watching it with Lol, my partner, former guest, and I kept saying to her, "Yeah, that's Kevin Conroy. That's the same guy as before."
Yeah. Well, the weird thing is, too...
Oh, no, I'm wrong.
He also does the voice of the Joker in this, and the Joker is very much just do
Mark Hamill.
the Mark Hamill Joker. But of course, Troy Baker also did the Joker in Arkham Origins, and in that one he was supposed to be playing like a younger version of Mark Hamill's Joker. So I guess the note was just do the Joker. That we
just do Mark Hamill. I feel like ever since Mark Hamill, everyone's been trying to do that impression because he did such an incredible job.
Yeah. I know. Recently, we did the table read of the old Batman script, and I was doing the Joker, and I was like, my initial gut instinct was to just do Mark Hamill, and I was like, nah, I better I'll do something. I'll try to do something different.
I kept saying to Lol, yeah, that's Mark Hamill as well. Until the end.
Yeah, I feel like anyone who does the Joker now, it's like you have a choice to either do a really good Mark Hamill or just a complete departure.
Yeah.
And, sometitimes it doesn't work. As in, a certain someone. Should we mention everyone's favorite Joker?
Well, that's the thing, because again, from trying to figure out a voice of the Joker, I myself was going, I'll take a bit of Heath Ledger and a bit of Jack Nicholson and a bit of Hamill, and then I was sitting going, I think this is the Jared Leto voice now. I think that's what he did. He just I just took elements of all of them, and I made a hodgepodge.
The difference, Niall, is he's a professional actor who either should know better or there should be someone on the production to say, maybe don't do that.
Troy Baker, loads of people definitely know this guy because he did the voice of Batman in the Telltale series. Those video games came out. Also played the Arkham Knight in Arkham Knight. But he's probably most well known for doing the voice of Joel in The Last of Us.
Whoa, that's him.
Yeah. And he also did Booker DeWitt in BioShock Infinite, which are two...
No.
They must be two of the biggest games of the last decade. So this guy, he's doing well.
Well, can I bring up a voice, which is only interesting to me?
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed now that one of the turtles... I'm jumping ahead slightly there. I don't care. Whatever. Who gives a damn? This is freeform. It's our show.
It's your show. Do what you want.
Yeah, screw you.
Now we're talking about episodes of Cheers. Let's just talk about Cheers, everybody.
Okay.
Basically, Raphael is voiced by basically the Broadway version's most popular Hedwig.
Oh.
So that ties into my other podcast all about the movie Hedwig and the Angry Inch.
Well,
that's Darren Criss, who... He's the one he's good, but it's the Broadway Hedwig. It's a bit more mainstream. The teenage fangirls love him.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. But it's him. And this really shows that he's a great actor, though, because this is so... Doing Raphael is so far removed from Hedwig. It's like a completely alien thing. I had no idea it was him.
I always wonder, when dealing with Raphael... I know you guys will definitely have had to deal with this so much on your show, but I'm always wonder, is anyone ever tempted to go back to the animated Raphael? Because now the standard is Raphael is the angry one who is really aggressive and always gets himself into trouble and stuff. Whereas obviously they thought that was too kind of volatile for the animated series, so they made him like Yakko Warner, basically. And he was just
I mean, it was Rob Paulson.
Yeah, there you go. It's just actually, arguably before Animaniacs, so maybe Yakko Warner is based on that Raphael. But
he's kind of like the Bart Simpson version of Raphael.
Yeah, or like the Chandler Bing in a weird way.
Yeah,
just the sarcastic wisecrack.
Yeah.
The thing is, because he was always my favorite when I was a kid, so I still do long for a return to old school Raphael. But I get why you're doing aggressive, angry Raphael, because that is what the character's supposed to be. But I wonder sometimes if there's any writers who are make him throw in a little dose of Chandler there too, just to keep the old school fans happy.
See, I was always into, because every kid liked Michelangelo, right? So I loved Michelangelo, but I also loved Donatello because I'm a big nerd.
Yeah.
So if you fuse those two together into a super turtle, then I'd be happy.
Donatello.
Yes, definitely.
We get it. If you mix purple with orange, though, what headband would he have?
It'll be something disgusting. Let's be honest.
Yeah, that's not a good color combination.
Yeah, I know.
But they're complementary colors. So if you add orange to purple, it would dull it down. So you just get this really ugly gray.
Or you could do a checkerboard pattern, or maybe a nice houndstooth of the two colors.
Oh, okay. Yeah, now I'm on board.
Yeah.
Although in the spirit of everything's connected, John, to follow on, Darren Criss also was, well, he was music meister in Supergirl and The Flash. And he was also in Eastwick, which was the TV version of The Witches of Eastwick they did a couple of years back. And of course, original movie stars Jack Nicholson and Michelle Pfeiffer. So there we go. Produced by John Peters as well. It's like, well, there you go. Everything is connected.
Yeah, there's our Kevin Bacon moment.
Yeah. And at the start here, because we haven't even really moved on with the plot, we get a wonderful scene where we see Batman getting ready for action, and we see the Turtles getting ready. I thought that was great, like a comparable suiting up scene in the vein of like Commando and Arnold Schwarzenegger's getting ready to fight.
Well, I think as well, too, they're doing, particularly on the Turtles side, but like Batman getting in the car and driving out, that's kind of reminiscent of the animated series. It's like, oh, it always started with him getting in the car and driving out. But the Turtles, as they're coming together, because it has a whole thing where they're showing you the manhole cover, and they do a kind of a move similar to the way the old cartoon started. And then there's a shot of all of them jumping into frame on rooftops, and like that is directly from the old cartoon show. It's very much a movie that's like, it's the entire basis of it is like, we all know and love these characters, so we're just giving you what you want. Here's bits of the animated series. We're going to show you bits from the movies later as well. Like we'll just do things calling directly back to those Turtles movies and stuff that you've already seen. So, I'm here for it. Like that's the thing. I was like, I really, really loved this movie. I was just so like, oh my god, this is everything I want.
I like the little callbacks, just line drops like Ninja Vanish and Bossa Nova.
They even do like a really just subtle one later on, where it's like Alfred says when they're in the cave, he says I think it's Michelangelo and Raphael is like, oh, would you like some napkins? And they're like, what for?
What for?
And that's from Secret of the Ooze. It's like, that's a direct line from Secret of the Ooze. What the hell?
Yeah. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
It would have been great if Alfred had just thrown the napkins up in the air.
But yeah, so there's turtles afoot looking for the foot in Gotham City, and the Penguin is also up to some shenanigans here outside Wayne Enterprises.
I love the tattoo on the Penguin's gang. Yeah, they have like a no bat tattoo. You know, it's got like a bat in that sort of no sign, like the
Ghostbuster sign. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was gonna say too, that guy having had as a working criminal in Gotham, you're asking for it. Like, why would you do that to yourself? Like, have an anti-Batman tattoo? Because he's gonna see it. Like, if you're out working with the Penguin, you're gonna come across Batman at some point. So
at least he's honest.
It's just like, I just want you to know, Batman, we don't get much of a chance to communicate, but I'd like you to know that I don't like you.
And some great voice acting by Tom Kenny.
Oh, the incomparable Tom Kenny.
Yeah. I think he's done the Penguin. I think he's kind of like a go-to Penguin guy as well. He's done the Penguin a bunch. I think he did him for Batman Ninja. I know we talked about way back in the day.
Oh, and that was great. I think this might be even better, but whatever.
Oh, well,
it did sound a little bit like his Ice King. It had that same kind of like tone to it.
That like smarm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the way he didn't overdo the bird sounds, but when they were appropriate, he would throw in like a little, but not every line.
Yeah.
Really tempted to see, like, because, well, those pictures of Colin Farrell as the Penguin now are just like, oh my god, that makeup job's amazing. But I'm really hoping now they've gone for really realistic makeup on him to make him look like he is just some fat middle-aged guy. But he just comes out and he's just full on doing like a Burgess Meredith.
Oh, that would be beautiful.
Join my flock, my dear. He's just hamming it up.
I kind of want to see a version of the Penguin of just a dude in one of those Kigurumi costumes, like the big baggy animal costumes.
Of a penguin?
Yeah. A penguin Kigurumi.
Well, every single morning I wear my koala one. So, I'm halfway there. I should just buy a penguin one.
Yeah.
Or just become a koala-themed supervillain.
There you go.
Has there ever been one? I mean, koalas are known for being so lazy, though. Koalas can sleep for more than 20 hours a day.
And they're riddled with chlamydia.
Yeah, that's not their fault.
Yeah.
That's a great byline for the Koala Man comic. He's riddled with chlamydia.
That's why you need to fear him. Oh, no.
Should mention as well, one of the other Penguin goons looks like he's very much based on like a hybrid of the leader of the mutants from Dark Knight Returns and also Krang's body.
Yeah, I caught that too.
Yeah, they're going like, we can't have Krang in this, but we can kind of have him in it, I guess.
The only way to make this better would be to put Krang in it, right?
Well, I think that was in there because they did 3 stories in the comics. The first one is very similar to this. Second one was all about Donatello goes to... Bane comes to New York through the dimensional rift and ends up like ruling the Foot Clan and stuff. And then the third one is much more of a weird hybrid where Batman's memory has been... like, dimensions have merged. So Bruce Wayne's story now is that his parents were killed by the truck that spilled the mutagen that's created the Turtles. So as he's orphaned, he goes into the sewer and Splinter finds him, and so he's raised with the Turtles and he still becomes Batman. Weirdly enough, you'd think he'd be like Turtle Man, like he would be with them.
If I remember this correctly, that same transdimensional rift is the same thing that connected them to the Ghostbusters universe in IDW. I think it was actually may have been created by Egon.
Oh,
so that's like some weird glue that ties it all together.
Oh. But within that third storyline, Krang is the main villain. But they've done that thing like they do in the comics. Krang just gets bigger and bigger. Like he used to be like an average sized brain, like it was Utron, or was it Utron or Ukron? I can never remember the name. But
it's Utrom.
Utrom. Oh, Utrom. That's it. But yeah, then I remember when they made the movie with him where Brad Garrett did the voice. And I was like, oh, he's much bigger than usual. And then that comic, he's like the size of a house. It's like, is Krang is he growing naturally, or is it just like we need to make him more threatening, so he just gets bigger and bigger every time?
They just keep feeding him.
Yeah. He's turning into the spider demon from Doom.
Yes.
The boss from the end of the game.
That must be a crossover they've yet to do, though. Batman Ghostbusters. Like,
that'd be pretty cool.
I would jump all the way in on that.
I was gonna say, I feel like if you put Krang in this, it would be more overloaded than it already is. Like,
yeah.
There's a lot of rogues in this movie.
Mostly from the Batman side, though. You could drop 1 or 2 of them and bring in Krang, maybe.
Yeah. Maybe the sequel will have Krang.
Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping there is a sequel.
I mean, they kind of set it up for one, but...
Oh, we'll get to that. But yeah, the Turtles jump in to thwart the Penguin, and I do love that Michelangelo is essentially the voice of the audience, or the voice of the fanboys, basically, for this movie, because he just loves everything about Gotham. He's just like, oh, this mad blimps up in the sky. What are they even for?
This is amazing. Look at these weird villains.
Yeah, he's just the voice of the punch-up artists.
Yeah. And even like, in facing the Penguin, he's got a gun and an umbrella. It's a gun umbrella. This is amazing.
I think that's what helps sell it as well. Like when he starts doing that, it's like, yeah, this is how I feel.
I was like, the thing is, Michelangelo always does get the kind of, the go-to funniest lines in most Turtles stuff.
Yeah.
But it's no exception in this movie as well. There's a lot of the times I was just writing down what he said as a note because I want to bring that up. There's one where he's just like, he goes to attack some guy. He's like, hey, think fast. And the guy beats his ass and he's like, oh, he thought too fast. It's just like, that's funny. It's a genuinely good joke.
Well, that's what's good though, that his jokes and stuff they're not just for children. Like they're still funny for adults.
Yeah. But yes, of course, then the Penguin, he flies off in the classic Penguin helicopter umbrella device.
Well, as Tim Burton Batman fans, I knew that was coming when he jumped.
Oh, yeah.
I was waiting for that.
But then, of course, Batman's inside Wayne Enterprises, fighting the Foot Clan. And who should show up but Oroku Saki himself, the Shredder, arrives. And again, his introduction to Batman is a direct visual reference to the 1990 Turtles movie, where he jumps down in slow motion. And I was like, I love that movie. So I was like, oh my God, it's the same way. When he jumps down to fight them, it's the same exact thing.
Also just straight up kills one of his own guys.
Oh, yeah. Adam and I saw this before, and I forgot how violent it is.
Yeah.
A lot of direct head injuries and, a lot of blood.
And just straight up death. Like, he just brained that guy.
Yeah.
I think it's later on, too, when, spoiler, him and Ra's al Ghul are breaking into Arkham. What? There's like, he comes up flat out, stabs a guy through the back. Yeah. And then Ra's al Ghul kills a guy, too. And it's like, oh, Christ, like, they ain't messing around with us. Like,
yeah.
And Shredder, I think they do, it's like a weird middle ground, right? They show him as very scary. Like, he holds his own against Batman. In fact, he beats Batman.
Yeah.
He smashes his ribs to pieces. But, well, I was going to say Ra's al Ghul, but, you know, what does Robin call him? Raish. I hate it when they call him Raish. So let's say Ra's al Ghul. He is constantly belittling Shredder. And I'm like, well, this guy's amazing. He just beat Batman and broke his ribs. What are you doing?
And then Batman's always being Ra's al Ghul. So he's like, oh, I guess maybe that's how he's empowering himself. Like, if I insult the guy who beat Batman, by default, I'm better than Batman. So there you go.
Yeah, I'm at the top of the chain.
You can work that out, detective.
I really like the character design on the Shredder, too, because there's this, like, constant tendency to make him huge and just, like, a whole cutlery drawer. Like, we'll just keep throwing knives on him until, you know, we're satisfied. But it's much more subdued character design.
Yeah.
I prefer it more stripped back. I like to imagine him as he's supposed to be, as in he's a martial arts master. Okay, he's got a few spikes on him and things, but I don't want him to just be a giant hulking beast covered in blades. There's no need. He doesn't need that.
I, for one, as like all of us, someone who grew up with the Turtles in the 90s, had a Shredder toy, and continually still baffled by it to this day. I had the one where it was like a shirtless Shredder, and he had a blue helmet, and he looked kind of way lame. Like, he was...
But he was super ripply.
Yeah. And it was like...
Toys back then didn't have to make sense.
No.
But it was just more because it was like, well, I guess because none of the Turtles toys really looked like the cartoon because they all had the white eyes. So it's like, well, if you're going...
Yeah, and I had a Donatello one where his skin... I know they have different skin color sometimes, but he was basically brown.
Yeah.
And I was like, he's not that brown in the cartoon.
There must have been one of those, because that was back in the day when they're like, oh, it's like dump truck Michelangelo and, you know, pizza chef Leonardo.
They had to do something to differentiate the toys so that it wasn't like parents were already pissed off that they had to buy the same toy 4 times.
Yeah.
So like if they do a slight color shift on each one and make them a slightly different shade of green, then it's like, well, there's a reason to buy 4 of the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish I could have told my parents the same thing, buying me like 5 different Hulk Hogan action. I was like, he's got a different shirt.
That's the thing though. If you're doing that, like, why not? Why is the main villain of the franchise? Why is the toy him so lame? Like, why does he look stupid? Like, Shredder's a cool-looking character. It must be easy enough to make a cool toy of him, but I know they have now, but not back then. It was like, I don't like this one at all.
They'll have had about 15 different ones now. That's the problem. It's like I had a million Terminator toys because they knew kids were watching Terminator, so they made toys. And most of them didn't make a lick of goddamn sense. Like I had one where the whole front of... He was like a human Terminator, but you press a button and his whole front falls off and he's the T800 underneath.
I had one where
one of the human front, it would fire a missile. When does that happen?
I had one where he had one hand that was just a fist, and then just a metal middle finger would come out of it. Just a single metal middle finger. It's like, why is this for kids? Why do I have this, me as an 8-year-old?
I remember getting in an argument with my parents because I got the Barbie camper for Christmas one year. But then 2 years later, a different Barbie camper came out that was better than the first one. And I'm like, I want that one. And my mom said, but you already have it. And I said, no, this one has a pool.
That's how they get you. That's what they do. That's why over here in England, actually, they've got like a big thing now. Have you noticed this now? They're not allowed to advertise kids' toys at certain times of the day. Yeah, because they basically are trying to stop kids pestering their parents all the time.
Like, I thought the whole point of the adverts was for them to pester their parents.
Yeah, but the government are like, that's not good because it's putting a lot of pressure on people. And also, they're not allowed to advertise junk food in kids' shows anymore.
Well, that makes sense.
So you can't put like candy and stuff in the adverts.
That's like one of the few times I've ever heard of the UK government being interested in the good of the people.
They'll have an ulterior motive. Like,
Yeah.
let's be honest, they always do.
But that's the thing, though. Like, I would have thought from way back in, it's Raphael, but he's actually dressed up as Raphael the painter. There would have been, here's a Ninja Turtle as Batman. Like, that would have been, maybe for rights issues they couldn't do that. But, like, I remember them doing, like, Batman episodes of, like, Alvin and the Chipmunks back in the day. So it seems as if, like, they would have worked something out. Where you could have... Yeah. And I know you can, nowadays you can get, like, Mikey dressed up as Batman in this movie as a toy, but...
Yeah, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
We need it. Actually, speaking of laws, right, this isn't a law, but do you guys all know about how in the UK, I'm not sure if it was the same in Northern Ireland, because, contentious issue. Is it the UK? Is it not? They weren't originally allowed to call it Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles here.
I do remember hearing something about that.
Yeah, they were Hero Turtles for a while.
Yes, and even the song was Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles because they were like, ninja, that sounds too aggressive for children.
I thought it was because kids in the UK didn't like ninjas as much as American kids did.
That's the nonsense they come out with.
Oh.
The real, basically, when you dig down, the real reason is we don't want it to sound violent.
Yeah. There was a lot of
Even
that.
though it's not that violent, and who cares?
There was like at the same age where like Power Rangers was considered a dangerous thing for children because like they might try to copy these fights and stuff.
To be fair, we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were copying some garbage martial arts. So
That's not the thing then, because they did that then hit Secret of the Use, right? Because then they actually had to like, the Leonardo's holding the swords, but like he ain't ever going to use those swords.
Never
Like,
use
it's too violent. You gotta have a hero slicing people with a sword in this thing.
I kind of fell into that. We did a special 15-part episode where we played through the original Palladium RPG of Ninja Turtles.
Oh, amazing.
And I didn't realize until about halfway through that like every scene where I did fighting, I didn't use weapons. It was always like something else, and I didn't even realize I was doing it. But I honestly, I think it's more fun.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
Like I
it
used a
either way.
Garfield phone at one point.
I always wanted one of those.
Coming to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Minute next year, Garfield versus TMNT.
Oh.
Oh, please.
Lasagna versus pizza, which is better?
I mean,
Well, if you're in Chicago, they're the same.
they're essentially the same thing, just sauce and cheese.
But yeah, so eventually, Batman is introduced to the Turtles.
Oh, yeah, when they find the Batmobile and have a fight. Hero fight. Like, I was saying this to Lol the whole time. I was like, I know exactly what's going to happen. The Turtles and Batman are going to fight. In the fight, they're going to realize they're on the same side and they're going to team up. It's like every superhero thing does that.
Oh, yeah.
That's every Marvel movie.
I think that's because that's what you did when you played with kids, with toys as a kid.
Yeah.
It was always like, who would beat, in a fight between Iron Man and Doctor Strange, who would win? So, therefore, when they meet on the big screen, you gotta have a bit where friggin' Thor and Iron Man are fighting now, and it's fun for like 5 minutes, and then he's like, okay, let's get to the actual plot line of what's happening here.
And that's just what you get when you have fans writing these franchises. They're just kind of dumping out their toys in a sandbox, and
Sometimes that works, though. Like The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
That has the same vibe, and
Yeah.
it does work, even though it shouldn't.
Yeah.
yeah, it's just Jon Favreau clacking Star Wars action figures together in a sandbox.
Which should be terrible, but it's not. How is it not? I don't know. It's so weird. And this fight, though, it ends up in a pizza shop, right? Which, of course, it does. It's the Turtles. But I actually thought it was quite interesting. There's a gay couple. There's
Yeah.
a lesbian couple in the pizza shop. And I thought, oh, that's quite forward
They
thinking.
got a good line as well. They go, I think we should see other people, but I don't like other people.
Relatable.
Another great moment of punch-up work. Whoever they had on this writer squad knew how to punch up this script.
Geniuses.
And that's this great, typical Michelangelo thing. He's thrown into a pizza shop, and then so he's just like cheekily, everyone's freaked out because they see a giant turtle, and then he just like instantly grabs a slice of pizza and has a little cheeky like, I'm going to take advantage of this while I'm here.
Yeah.
Also relatable.
Scarf a slice while you got it. It's like, I understand. If I was in that situation, I'd be like, free pizza. So
Well, pizza's probably my favorite thing overall, and I'm blaming a childhood growing up with the turtles.
Yeah, that's been my theory. That yeah.
It's gotta be.
actually, yeah, here's the thing. Because actually, I remember even when you guys were launching the show, I remember the day before that came out, and rewatched the whole first movie. Had to have a pizza with it, of course, because you gotta watch it next the other day. It's like, well, you're watching the turtles. You gotta make a pizza. So made myself a very nice double pepperoni pizza, and I added on top some turkey, jalapenos, some mushrooms, red onion. It was friggin' great. I hadn't had pizza in a while, so I was like, oh my god, I forgot how nice this stuff is.
I have a rule. I have to have one pizza a week.
Oh,
It's
One a week.
not a bad rule.
yeah.
Usually Friday night, work's over. You want to chill out, get the pizza.
Yeah, hashtag Pizza Friday
Yeah.
for those of you who listen to TMT Minute.
Hell yeah.
We-
Actually, I didn't even think of that.
We've definitely ordered a lot of pizza during quarantines.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's kind of the only
Yeah.
takeout I trust because
Yeah.
those ovens are super hot. So
It'll be
Yeah.
cleansed.
And plus, our pizza place is takeout only, so I'm more okay with that than the idiots
no,
who are
exactly
allowing
the same.
dine in.
Exactly the same here. I won't go and sit in anywhere. I won't even go pick it up if I have to go inside.
Yeah.
Pretty much. It's like, if you're takeaway only and you will deliver it to me, cool.
I am not leaving my house.
But I was just thinking though, because when me and John went on to the Cornetto Minute for The World's End, watching that movie was just like, oh my, I need a drink with this. Like, I started it not wanting a beer, and then but 20 minutes in, I was like, all right, off to the fridge. And then talking to Scott, he was like, oh yeah, I've had like every single time I'm sitting down to write notes for it, I'm just dying for like a pint of beer. So imagine working on Turtles Minute, I would just be like, I'd probably be dead by now. Because every time I was thinking, I was like, oh, I'm in the form for pizza now after this for some reason.
Cholesterol.
yeah, my cholesterol count is not the best. That took years off of my life, I
Yeah.
think.
But
Oh.
in contrast, we mentioned Garfield earlier. We all grew up watching Garfield, and I don't care for lasagna that much. Like I'll eat it, but
it's fine.
yeah.
It's
I think
okay.
I would go for pizza over lasagna for the structural
Yeah.
integrity. Plus, you get more stuff on pizza. You get like whatever you want on it. So
Yeah, lasagna usually falls apart and loses what makes it lasagna pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm sure whatever the original version from Italy is,
Yeah.
whatever it's based on, is probably amazing. But the lasagna that's made its way over it's okay.
Yeah. It seems
It's like a
like a
backup
very Americanized version of something better.
Yeah.
I mean, pizza's essentially that
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
I mean,
That's true. And I love, this is my thing, I love all styles. I love proper Italian pizzas, because we have like an Italian pizzeria down there that's really, legit. But I also love ridiculous, over-the-top, stupid American pizzas.
Yeah.
Like, they're all good.
And I advise people to write in on the listeners page too. And I'm sure you guys have brought this up in your own shows as well. But is there do you have a favorite pizza topping, or is it just like it's all good? There is no bad pizza.
I usually go with peppers, green peppers, pepperoni, and onions. That's my trio. Curse you if you like pineapple and ham, though.
what?
Hey, I do. I'm a vegetarian now, but I did.
Oh, I can't stand it.
Every time we've had a guest on our show, we've asked them what their favorite pizza topping is, and an alarming amount of people like pineapple.
Ugh.
I'll say I love pineapple on pizza. Like I am.
It's great.
Yeah, I have no beef with it whatsoever.
I consider it the Tom Waits of pizza topping. You either
Oh.
really, really love it, or you can't stand
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, nobody ever goes, Tom Waits, he's okay.
Yeah.
I quite like him.
You're either all in or you can't stand
Yeah,
it.
Adam can't listen to his Tom Waits records when I'm in the house.
Oh.
I cannot stand Tom Waits.
Maybe this will make you like him or make you hate him more. I don't know. But I always thought he would. He sounds like he's doing a Disney movie. He sounds like he'd be good, like at being Baloo.
Yes.
Or someone.
He was in an animated. No, wasn't an animated. I just learned that he was in a movie, but now I can't
he's in
remember
a
what it
lot of
was.
movies.
He was like a side villain or something, and
He's in
It's in Dracula
He-
for one thing.
Dracula.
that's what it
Yeah.
was. Yeah, he's in Dracula.
Mm.
Wow,
He's in
I didn't know he
Wrist
was in
Cutters,
Drag.
isn't
Yeah.
he?
Yeah, it's Renfield. He's just hanging about like, oh yes, the master, yeah.
Yeah, and I think he's in Wrist Cutters as like the devil.
Yeah, I think he's in Seven Psychopaths. He's in that for a bit.
Yeah.
He's just a guy. He's an indie movie guy. He's like a Jim Jarmusch kind of guy. Like,
Oh yeah, he's in Jim Jarmusch movies.
yeah. So he's just like, get Tom in. Like he'll do this for fun. He's like, of course, I believe he's also what Heath Ledger based his Joker voice on. So we're talking about
Yeah.
Joker voices earlier. So.
Yeah, I remember seeing this live recording of him playing Chocolate Jesus, and he did like a whole intro to the song. I'm like, oh my god, this is Heath Ledger's Joker.
Mm.
Like wild.
But anywho, so Batman's
Oh, yeah.
finally met the Turtles at the start of the movie.
And kicks the crap out of them like he's playing Injustice 2.
Yeah, the action in this, the fight choreography is just perfect.
Yeah. No, it's great. Like normally I get a bit bored when it goes on and on and on, like a cartoon fighting, but not with this.
Yeah. I don't think sometimes the Batman cartoons do really, like, they pull the finger out for it. Because I remember in Batman Ninja, the big fight at the end, the big sword fight between him and the Joker went on for ages, but it was really good. Like,
Yeah.
it was actually really tense. I was like, holy crap, who is going to win this fight? They don't have no idea what's happening anymore. But
Well, I've got a question about what comes next, because, he meets the Turtles, he fights them and whatnot. But then we cut to Shredder's base, and Ra's al Ghul turns up, of course. We've mentioned him, that's not a spoiler. But then he's got, alongside them, they have a fly scientist.
oh yeah, Baxter Stockman.
Mhm.
Yes. But the voice actor, is it just me wanting it to be the case? But is he kind of half doing like a Jeff Goldblum
Absolutely.
voice?
We picked up on that too.
That was my reaction
Yes.
also.
It needed a bit more of him going, yeah. But otherwise, it was Jeff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a low-key Jeff Goldblum.
To be fair, like, did they ever try to hide the fact that Jet Baxter Stockman was like, yeah, The Fly came out recently, so this is what we got. Scientist turns into Fly.
They should have got Jeff to do it. He would do it, right?
Well, he did friggin' voices for Captain Planet. Why wouldn't he do Baxter Stockman?
And he's such a weirdo in real life in the best possible way.
He is a very odd person.
Hmm.
Well, other than The Mandalorian, I mean, the only other thing I've really watched a lot of on Disney Plus is that show he's done where he just investigates things.
Mhm.
And it's amazing.
This Jeff Goldblum talks about shoes.
And he makes it sound like the most amazing thing you've ever heard of, every topic.
He's
mind is
he's in a series of commercials here in the U.S. for, what is it, apartments.com, or some kind of rental.
It's apartments.com.
Yeah. And the way he talks about these apartments, it's like, man, I want to get an apartment now.
But he also like kind of doesn't care.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he's got such a cool personality.
Yeah.
He's he doesn't have to try to be cool, he just is.
Yeah.
But of course then, because we're having a team up with Batman and the Turtles, Ra's al Ghul and Shredder are now teaming up within this thing.
I was a little taken aback, though. Ra's al Ghul looks like he's dressing up like Doctor Strange a little bit.
I thought that when he walked in, I was like, hang on, is this a Marvel film?
Yeah. Does he always look like Doctor Strange, or is this a new thing for him?
I took it to be, and particularly you guys have just done that season where you were essentially continuing on the legacy of the 90s Turtles movies.
Mm-hmm.
I get the real vibe, because to me it just struck me like, it's kind of based on Ra's al Ghul from the Batman animated series. Everything in this, in fact, you got a Kevin Conroy-ish Batman, you got a very heavily Mark Hamill-ish Joker.
Yeah.
Things like this. I was like, I think they're within the writing staff's canon. This is the Batman animated series universe, and I also think that this is supposed to be the movie's Turtles, because everything about them rings true to the movie versions of them, rather than even like Raphael. The fact he loses his sai, which is like, oh well, friggin' first movie lost his sai,
Yeah.
and then like he's even saying to Batman at one point, like, I always think I can go on my own, and I go off and I fall out my brothers and I get into a fight and they have to come bail me out, and they're like, yeah, true, it happens every time. It's like, that happened those first two movies, that happened, for Christ's sake. And then even things like Shredder, when the mask comes off, he's got the scar across his face, like the rat scratch. They allude to, I can't remember exactly what they say, but they indicate that Splinter is a rat first. He's not Hamato Yoshi. transformed into a rat. They seem to indicate like, no, he was a rat first. And it's like, I think, and even the Shredder's design is kind of like the first movie. I think in their heads, they're like, this is those same characters from those movies meets the Batman animated series characters.
Oh, yeah.
So I guess in the early 90s, beyond the Turtles cartoon, which is obviously a very different kettle of fish, those would have been the ones that the people writing this movie would have grown up with. They're like, oh yeah, that's the Turtles to me. That's Batman to me. That cartoon and those movies. So.
And I'm jumping ahead a little bit. We even get Tara Strong doing Harley Quinn, which is just chef kiss.
Yeah. It was a real relief to hear her because, like, in a year, like, you know, we had a really good Kaylee Cuoco doing Harley Quinn. I was like, oh, I should, you know, but she's kind of just playing like Kaylee Cuoco. She's not Harleying it up too much.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she's doing a good version of the character and stuff. And then we've had Margot Robbie's Harley just like everywhere. And it's like, yeah, it's her kind of doing a Harley impression. She's not got the voice quite right and stuff. But then to hear Tara Strong back, it's like, oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
That's the character right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I instantly liked it, whereas some versions I'm not keen on.
Shredder has now won over Raish or Raz or Raz Al Ghul.
Yeah, they pronounce it like 5 different ways.
Yeah. Even in the same line, they'll say it 2 different ways.
I actually quite like that, though, because why would they know how to pronounce that name? That's not a name they hear often. It's like, I don't know.
Well, it's like Han Solo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it Han or is it Han?
Or Hans.
Yeah.
Han Solo.
I was thinking about that the year I was Han Solo for Halloween, and people were calling me Hans. Like, have you ever seen the movie?
Yeah. It's like you're telling me a lot about yourself right now.
Yeah.
Hans Olo.
Yeah, Hans Olo. The Norwegian ski champion.
But he does have that nice sort of gilet jacket almost at one point. So it looks like it keeps him nice and warm.
Mm-hmm.
But as the Turtles regroup, I love that, like, as they're discussing like their next plan. One of the things I always love in any Batman story is like they're looking him up and they're like, I've heard rumors of a supernatural bat creature in Gotham. And I was like, oh, I love urban legend Batman, where people aren't too sure if he's real or not and stuff. And it's like, it's always one of those things. Like, I think in reality, like realistically, Batman can only keep that going for like maybe the first 2 years, and then after a while, it's like, no, people know that he's around because like. He's friggin' saved the city so much. Like, of course you would have seen him at some point, but...
Well, and especially in this day and age where everyone has a camera in their pocket.
Yeah.
But also, if you're Donatello and you hear tales of a bat creature in another city, you'd probably think it was an actual bat creature.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You would be like, yeah, this must be the same mutagen, or the same ooze, as he insists on calling it. And, like, yeah, it's like, I'm going to go track this guy down, see what the hell the deal is. Maybe he, could be brethren to us.
I'd like to
way.
think that Donatello fell into, like, a Reddit hole and was just, like, on these message boards, like, trying to find the bat creature.
But then, of course, Mikey draws up a great pros and cons list. Where it's just like, what's great about Batman, what's bad about Batman? It's just like, great, he's a giant bat, he's got a cool car. What's not awesome about him is that he might be evil and he can kick our asses. And I love the fact he's even drawn the evil Batman is from the end of the animated series, that sort of that classic shot of Batman in silhouette with the cape up and a kind of Dracula-esque pose. Actually, I guess maybe that's what they're going for, because at one point then Raphael in the same scene says like, oh, guy in a friggin' Dracula costume. And Donatello's like, Dracula costume? What Dracula movies have you been watching?
I was defending that. I was like, hang on, he's a bat, Dracula, he's got a cape, he kind of looks like a bat. Shut up. Yeah. He's right.
I think that is the thing, though, that in comics and stuff, they have in the past, like, oh yeah, friggin' guy in a Dracula costume. And I think maybe the writers were like, no, Dracula he's got a collar, red-lined cape. How the hell is that a Dracula costume?
It's close enough.
But, and then, as things go on, these two groups end up sort of getting closer together until Donatello just figures out, hey, this is how you get into the Batcave, I guess.
No, Niall. The Batman Cave. I like the way that works 2 ways. The Batcave and the Man Cave.
Yeah, he's got a kegerator, a big TV.
Foosball table.
Got his new PS5 hooked up.
Yeah.
And I love when they get in, because, classic fun, like, oh, you got the big coin, you got the T-Rex and stuff. Yeah. But they do the classic thing of showing you old Batman suits, and one of them is the Bob Kane original Batman design. Yeah. The really stupid thing where it's like a red pair of pajamas with big wings and like a domino mask.
I love it, though, that they put that in there.
Oh, yeah, it's great. It's great that they've thrown it in as a nod, but it's like, oh, that would have been... Again, thank God for Bill Finger, because we just wouldn't have... I don't think Batman would still exist as a character anymore if that were what they ended up going with. And yeah, so now they've infiltrated the cave, and Mikey again just having the time of his life was the line. It's like, oh, I can't wait I don't know what to put my grubby paws on first. And eventually just wearing flat out wearing Batman's cowl, riding a T-Rex. And it's like, this is just, you're doing everything every child of the 90s wants to do, basically.
I would have done that with the toys, definitely. Because I think this was pretty common. You didn't sort of segregate your toys. I would play with my Turtles toys with my Transformers toys. Like, I didn't separate them.
Yeah, I would do that too. Like, I would combine my Barbie dolls and my Little Ponies, and they'd live in like a fantasy world.
It would always be exciting when you had two sets of toys that were the same scale. Like, I think it was Ralph that pointed out to us that the Beetlejuice action figures were the same scale as Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Perfect. Oh my God, we need a crossover. The Ghostbusters could fight Beetlejuice. He's
yeah, totally.
He's a chaos demon. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Also, did have recently Beetlejuice was in Teen Titans Go. They just flat out had Beetlejuice in it.
Oh,
wow.
Really?
I remember thinking it wasn't the best episode, though, because they were just basically remaking Beetlejuice. I was like, they made an entire animated series about this character. Like, there's loads more you can do with them than just tell the same story over again. But, although now you're talking about, Rachel, because a lot of boys' toys, like action-based commodities from the early 90s, do get crossovers. But not much for... Would you ever see, like, Gem and the Holograms meets My Little Pony? Would that ever... Why isn't that a thing?
I don't know.
I mean, IDW did recently do a My Little Ponies Transformers crossover.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Friendship Transformed, I think they called it.
I need it definitely because I grew up with both of it. Like I had Transformers, but I'm also one of the original bronies. I was collecting those ponies when I was like 4.
I do remember complaining that there was never a Care Bears My Little Pony crossover.
That one writes itself, yeah.
They're both fighting for love and friendship, and there's rainbows, and
they're just both living Lisa Frankfurters.
Yeah.
Definitely. I love Care Bears as well.
Yeah.
But the situation is so much, though. Like, I bet the writer of this was a child in 1993. Because it's like Jurassic Park, dinosaur, turtles, and Batman. It's like, this is just playing with your toys on a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
So, hey, folks, that was the end of part 1 of our coverage of Batman versus Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. To the shock of no one, this episode ended up running really long. We're barely into the plotline of the actual film that we're talking about here. So, decided to split this one in two. And, of course, part 2 will be available towards the end of the week. So, until next time, we're off to Arkham. Shredhead and the Demon's Head construct a sinister conspiracy involving secrets and ooze, and morph into a deadly dynamic duo that seemingly can't lose. A madhouse is turned menagerie by these partners in crime, but can a petrifying paladin and teenage terrapins stop a newly modified army of mutated miscreants in the nick of bat time? There's Cronenbergian craziness as arch criminals are turned animal in an episode that's been termed turtly radical. Next time, same Bat Pod, different Bat Minute. Cowabunga! Ma-na-na, ma-na-na-na-da-da-da.